Hi, I'm Vera and welcome to this video. We are in Girona in Catalonia in Spain.
And I'm Sir Eddie Spaghetti. And on this chilly but wonderful morning, we're going to show you one of the most recommendable routes that we know, following the Ruta del Carrilet, which is going to lead us from Girona, as they say in Spanish, or Girona in Catalonian, and it's going to lead us down to the coast of Sant Feliu de Guíxols. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Spanish and Catalonian audience will certainly be making fun of my pronunciation, but I'm trying my best.
But before we set out on our bikes, let's take a moment to explore the city. You might not be familiar with the small gem tucked away in the northeastern corner of Catalonia.
Girona is home to just over 100,000 people and is one of those places that feels like a hidden treasure, a must-visit for anyone who enjoys travel. It certainly attracts its share of tourists, but it's still not as widely known as bigger Spanish cities like Madrid, Valencia or nearby Barcelona.
But you might know it by a different name.
Welcome to the city of Bravos, the iconic film set all Game of Thrones fans should be familiar with.
Girona is also a magnet for cyclists, a global training hub for professionals, thanks to its varied terrain, mild climate and relaxed lifestyle. It even has a decent network of bike lanes for daily commuting.
Ironically though, Girona flies under the radar for many bikepackers, mostly because the popular EuroVelo 8 route bypasses the city to the east. But since the route we're about to follow connects the EuroVelo 8 to Girona, you might want to consider a detour if you're ever pedaling through this region.
That said, the best way to explore Girona is still on foot. So lock up your bikes and grab some comfy shoes. You'll want to wander.
We started by getting a view of the city from one of the towers along the old walls that still partially circle the historic centre. The Gothic cathedral stands out clearly. Its single nave is one of the widest in the world, keeping watch over centuries of layered history. Just nearby lies one of Europe's best preserved Jewish quarters.
Feels like walking the Chinese Wall. We have to admit that the view from up here is pretty stunning. But it's down by the banks of the Onya River where Girona's Mediterranean spirit really comes alive. Museums, artsy shops and cozy bars hide behind medieval stone walls, tucked into a maze of cobbled streets and winding alleys.
The river itself isn't particularly scenic, more of a wide concrete canal channeling water from the Pyrenees toward the Mediterranean coast. And yet, you wouldn't want to miss it. Lined in soft pastels, the riverside buildings look like a painting come to life. Probably the most iconic image of any Girona postcard.
And then there's the Eiffel Bridge. Yep, designed with the same Gustave Eiffel behind the famous tower in Paris. In fact, this bridge is even older.
Girona might be rich in cultural history, but its modern-day energy holds its own. From bustling markets to evening concerts on the plazas, there's always something going on. It's a lively, welcoming, and genuinely fun city.
high time we show you the route we're about to ride. The Ruta del Carrilet heads south and weaves through several small villages until reaching Llagostera, where it takes a sharp turn to the east, descending down to the coast, and our destination, Sant Feliu de Guíxols. The first stretch of our ride was smooth and relaxing. A gusty tailwind, common in these parts as it rolls down from the Pyrenees, gave us a steady push along the mostly flat path. We passed through wide open farmland, where bright yellow canola fields stretched toward the horizon, nearly ripe for harvest under the soft light of a spring day.
Cycling along these old railway lines is like entering into a museum. Back in the day, we wouldn't have cycled this route. We'd have rattled along in a carriage pulled by a steam locomotive. Girona, which lies on the main rail line between France and Barcelona, was once a regional railway hub. Alongside the main line, it had two important narrow-gauge routes, one climbing north to Olot in the Pyrenees, and this one heading southeast to Sant Feliu de Guíxols on the coast. Both were vital links, not just for locals, but for transporting goods, supporting regional commerce, and bringing in tourists.
Sadly, like so many other lines across Europe, this one was shut down in the late 1960s. The rise of car travel and road infrastructure shifted the focus away from rail. Even so, these small lines had once served as lifelines to rural communities. Today, it's hard not to feel a sense of loss, especially for those of us who prefer traveling without a car. A vast, once thriving network was left to vanish, taking with it the ease and charm of slow, scenic rail journeys.
But fortunately, hundreds of these abandoned lines have since been given a second life as walking and cycling paths, offering glimpses into a past that's not getting entirely forgotten. These greenways, while growing in number, represent only a fraction of the many disused railway corridors that still exist. The true scale is hard to pin down.
But what makes this particular route unique is how much of its original character remains. Many of the old stations are still standing, lovingly preserved, and you come across sculptures and public art that honor the legacy of this railway, turning the ride into a moving tribute to its history.
That said, not everything deserves the same level of praise, especially when it comes to surface quality. This route is a mixed bag. Stretches of smooth tarmac alternate with varying degrees of gravel and compacted dirt, making it best suited for mountain bikes or at least sturdy touring setups. So, tighten your screws, it can get pretty bumpy at times.
On the upside, navigation is generally straightforward thanks to consistently placed signposts. But don't get careless. We switched off our phones, thinking we could rely solely on the signs, and promptly got lost. As a result, we ended up taking an unexpected detour.
Still, overall signage is solid, and special care has been taken to ensure continuous cycle lanes through built-up areas. These come in all styles and colors, from painted strips to fully separated tracks, but they do a good job. guiding you intuitively from start to finish. Then our route merged with the EuroVelo 8 and the Pyrenees cycle route. From here, you could head south along the Via Verde Termal toward Barcelona, a beautiful ride in its own right. We've actually explored that route before, so if you're curious or planning your own trip, check out the video linked in the description.
One of the real highlights of this route is how well the old station buildings have been preserved, and not just as relics of the past. Many have been thoughtfully adapted to serve the needs of modern cyclists. You'll find picnic areas, bike racks, drinking fountains, toilets, and even charging stations for phones and e-bikes. It really sets the bar high, especially when you consider how many better-known routes still fall short on even the basics. Up until Llagostera, the route had been entertaining and relaxed. But from here on, the landscape shifted. And so did the mood. The route began its descent through wooded hills, winding its way toward the coast. Even though it briefly ran alongside the highway, this stretch still managed to feel wild and immersive, adding a sense of adventure that made it one of the most memorable parts of the journey.
made our way past groves of Cork oak trees, we were reminded of one of the main reasons this railway line was built in the first place. Back in the late 19th century, this area was a major producer of cork, a valuable material harvested from the thick, rugged bark of these trees. The railway, which opened in 1892, provided a crucial link from the forests and inland villages to the port of Sant Feliu de Guíxols, helping to transport cork, coal, and agricultural goods across the region.
We are at the old train station in Santa Cristano d'Ala, and there is a tourism office here and it's open. So let's see if they can give us some further information on our tour. Let's go.
Hola.
Hola.
And we were curious to know if you could tell us when the cycle route was built.
I don't have this information. We have a book, but it's in Catalan.
Okay.
Explain all the change from the rail train to the
Greenway.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can buy the book. It's this one. You know, Carrilet, Sant Feliu de Guíxols, Girona.
Okay.
It's the importance of this way.
Since we don't speak Catalan, we didn't buy the book. But its very existence shows just how much this Greenway has taken the railway's place as part of the region's heritage. imagine what it would have been like to travel with one of these locomotives.
I'm not sure if it's a replica or if it's an original, but it seems really well preserved, and I really love the way it's painted. You can even see all the suspension here underneath. You can even get inside. And play pretend. Woo-hoo!
It was so windy yesterday that we branched off here to go to the campsite. So we have come back today to show you the last portion of the route. The wind has died down and it's really warm. It almost feels like summer and it's only the end of March.
The final stretch of the old railway is a bit of a mystery. It's not easy to picture exactly how the tracks once threaded their way down to the port. But just before reaching the shoreline, the pass comes into focus. Just before the last bend, you can still see where trains were once unloaded and serviced, a quiet echo of the line's working days. So we've reached the end of our route, and despite all the wind and getting lost, it was really fun. But now the sea awaits us.
Yes, and now I look forward to an ice cream and a lovely afternoon by the sea.
And we're going to take a stroll through the city, and while we're doing that, we're going to think about how we're going to rate this route. So let's see how that works out.
Sant Feliu de Guíxols may not be a household name, but this laid-back coastal town has deep roots and a long maritime history. Once a key trading port on the Costa Brava, today it's a popular beachside escape with a permanent population of around 20,000. A number that easily triples in summer when tourists flock in for the sun, sea and festivals.
When we arrived, it was calm and quiet, the kind of off-season charm you rarely get to experience. But the traces of its vibrant past, from fishing boats in the harbour to elegant villas from its heyday, are all still here. It's a relaxed but rewarding place to end the journey, where history, culture and Mediterranean life come together right by the shore.
So, time to go through the numbers to see how this 42 kilometers long stretch scores. We're giving full marks for safety and infrastructure, 9 points for markings and signage, 8 points for scenery and services, 7 for accessibility, but only 6 for families and 5.5 for surface quality. In total, this route gets a very respectable 8 out of 10. By the way, we've made a video explaining the details on how we rate cycle routes. So check out the video in the description below if you would like to know more on what makes the cycling route great.
So what do you think? Have you cycled this trip before? If you have, please tell us about it in the comments.
We would really enjoy your comments and your like and subscribe.
So we're going to go off and enjoy the atmosphere now, and we look forward to see you in the next one. Until then, thanks for watching. Happy cycling.
Bye-bye.